Hey everybody, Jam Creates here, and today I wanted to talk about something. It's a little, I don't know, it came up, and I've been thinking about it, and it came up last night, and now I've been thinking about it while I'm at work today, and it's funny because I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this. So IDW just put out a new G.I. Joe comic. And to be fair, well, I don't even want to give an opinion yet. What I will say is people were comparing it last night, side by side, a page from that book and a page from Cyberfrog. And clearly the art in Cyberfrog was a million times better. And the art in... I guess I will give you my opinion. The art in that G.I. Joe page is terrible. It looks god-awful. The colors are atrocious. It looks unfinished. It looks like... Honestly, it looks like something that I drew back when I was like 12 years old. When I was drawing comics and I didn't want to draw backgrounds or other things, so I just didn't. And, you know... That's what it looks like. It's like not... The posing is terrible. It's all flat angles. There's no interesting angles. There's no interesting dynamic anything going on in the pages. Like, they just look awful. And the thing is, the more I looked at it again today, and you know, and I was talking about it last night, and I was joking a little bit, and I was saying, you know, part of me really wants to, you know, looking at it, part of me really wants to just redraw the whole page myself. Even though I'm not a professional artist, I've never been published. I don't have a book that's coming out, a series that's coming out through IDW or anything like that. So again, I'm not going to hate on the dude who made the art. Like, whatever, you're getting paid, get yours, that's fine. And I don't have anything against him. And this is where I fall into like a weird position. And I'd love to get your take on it. The art that is in that comic book, this is where I had my problem. My initial reaction was, oh my God, this is terrible. What the heck? Who thought this was a good idea? Who said, yeah, this is what we want our comic book to look like? And then the more I looked at it, and I saw some other pages from it as well, and I started to realize, if I saw this art in a different context, I probably would actually like it. And what I mean by that is, it's not comic book art. That's really the bottom line. There's a lot of stuff that comes out now in comic books that are not, that just aren't comic book art. But not only that, they're just boring and terrible. Like, you know, a lot of the stuff you see coming out through Marvel and stuff, you look at a lot of this stuff and it just looks like, you know, and listen, don't get me wrong, there's some indies that are god-awful as well. I mean, we've all seen some of those panels floating around out there of people who look like weird human-like creatures with arms going in all different directions and stuff like that. I mean, I've even seen one picture where they literally had the wrong hand, where like they had the thumb on the wrong side of the hand. In a comic book, a published comic book, I saw that. But this is not that. What this is the best way I would put it is, this would either be art, the style of art would either be something that you would see in a gallery maybe, or something that you would see on a product, like it would be some sort of advertising art or product art or something along those lines. Like, I could totally see it on packaging. Like, really could see it on packaging for like some sort of food product or a snack or a drink of some kind. See it in a magazine ad for some kind of product, for sure. I definitely could see that. I could see it in a lot of places. Like, there are a lot of places where I think that art would be perfectly acceptable and would be fine, and you would look at it and you would go, okay, whatever, and you would move on. Like, you wouldn't fall in love with it or anything, but you'd be like, all right, that's fine. In fact, there is a slot machine. If you go back, I did a video in the early days of this channel about slot machine art when I went to the casino and I was just, looking at the art on some of the slot machines and stuff. And I did a video about it. To go back, you can look into the early days of this channel. It's still up. It's called something like, art is everywhere, slot machine art, or something along those lines. But if you look up that video and you watch it, you'll see, I'm pretty sure I put either a still photo or video of a slot machine that has a sort of a Spanish feel to it. And it had very similar art style to this kind of art. And honestly, when playing the slot machine, I really liked the art because it fit the theme. And I can almost see what someone was thinking, because it's called Sierra Muerte. It's supposed to be like this Spanish-tinged adventure. And so I can kind of see where they saw, well, this is what it is, and if we have this style of art, that kind of goes together, right? And in a way, I get it. The problem, and it's one of these things where the idea is better than the execution. I think the idea of having, like, this, because it's definitely a Spanish flavor, that style of art. I've seen it before. And the problem is it's not comic book art, though. It's not dynamic. It's anything but. It's very stiff. It's very stiff. Like, the characters literally look like they are cut out of cardboard or something. Like, they don't look like people. They don't look like three-dimensional human beings. They look like cutouts. And that's not, like, if you were doing something specific, if you were doing like a Paper Mario adaptation or something, like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But not if you're doing G.I. Joe. Again, I get it. If they would have done, even like had this artist do covers for this adventure, because, again, it's, Sierra Muerte, and so, okay, you want to have this, like, Spanish theme to it. I could see having them do the covers, and the covers only, and then having the inside just be more traditional comic book style art. But here's where I find myself questioning myself, because I am the same guy who laments when all comic book art looks the same. I'm the same guy who complains that almost everything that you see from DC or from Marvel, like, it all looks the same. And, DC has always had kind of a house style, and that's always bothered me a little bit, honestly, because I've always enjoyed seeing different artists' interpretations of different characters. So, I've enjoyed seeing, how is this guy going to draw Spider-Man? How is this guy going to draw Wolverine? How is, like, if you told me tomorrow, like, that was part of the fun back in the day, was seeing, like, hey, guess what? New artist on this, in this book is going to be, Joe Mad. And I would be flipping out because I love Joe Mad, and I'd be like, yes, I can't wait to see how he draws this guy and that guy and this guy and that girl and this guy and whoever. Like, of course. Like, who wouldn't be? I mean, it was always exciting when you got to see an artist's interpretation of something. When we finally got to see, Todd McFarlane draw Batman, it was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to see Todd McFarlane's version of Batman. That is so cool. I can't wait to see what that looks like. You could only imagine in your head what that was going to look like. And so then when you finally got to see it, either it lived up to it or it didn't, or it was better or whatever, but that's beside the point. The whole point was you got hyped to see different artists take on different characters. And so part of me is like, well, why am I criticizing this? Because this is just this artist's style, and this is him drawing G.I. Joe. But the thing is, yes, I want to see different artists' takes on different characters, and I like when artists have their own unique style. But at the same time, I still think you still need to be comic book art, and that's my point. Like, it still needs to be a comic book style. It could be a wacky, crazy comic book style, but it still needs to be a comic book style. You know, when I read The Max, nobody was doing comic books that looked like that back in the day. But it was cool, and it worked for the story, and it made sense, and it was good. It was something different. You know, when you saw different characters, you know, different artists drawing different things, it was good, but they were still comic book style. You know, I do reviews. I do comic reviews, and, you know, I reviewed, my last review was Mr. Crypt from Alterna Comics, and that's a very cartoony style in that comic book, and I loved it. You know, same thing, like I did Unit 44, I did a review of that. That's a cartoony style, and I absolutely loved it. You know, I wouldn't, you know, would I want to see those guys would I want to see that particular artist's take on, I don't know, let's say Spider-Man? Actually, yeah, I kind of would. But, because it would have a lot of energy to it. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, your comic books need to have energy. They need to have excitement. And looking at that, you know, the art from that G.I. Joe, I get no excitement. You know, again, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the art, because I feel like an artist should be allowed to be creative and have the freedom to do things in their style. And obviously IDW hired this guy knowing what his style was, and they asked him to do a G.I. Joe series in his style, and he's doing it. And I read something where he was like excited about the idea of doing it, and that's cool. Like, whatever, I'm glad you're excited to do it. But to me, you know, that's fine. You can do those things. You can take those chances. You can take those risks, and you can do those things. But the thing about taking risks is that sometimes they fail. That's why they're called risks. Sometimes they don't work out. So I feel like that's more the case of what happened here is not that the artist is a bad artist per se, but he's not a comic book artist. He's not a bad artist per se. He is a bad comic book artist. That I will say, because that's not a comic book. And honestly, whoever looked at his stuff and said he should be drawing G.I. Joe should be fired, because there's clearly no way that this guy should be drawing G.I. Joe. He might be able to write someone somewhere might find the perfect story that will match his style, and then the marriage of the two will be fantastic. And I hope he does. I mean, that would be great. That would mean another good comic book to read. But you can't just take any style and slap it into a comic book and say, well, you said you wanted a different type of artist. No, I want comic book artists still. I still want comic book artists making comic books. The last thing I would want to do is open up a comic book. Like what if I opened up, like, let's say you opened up, you know, next month's issue of X-Men, and it was drawn by, like, you know, an abstract impressionist. So none of the people looked like people, and none of the buildings looked like buildings. Nothing looked like what it was supposed to look like. And then there was a bunch of word balloons on there. Would you be happy about that? Would you be like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever because I got to see a different kind of artist's take on Wolverine? Like, no, you'd be like, what the hell is this? There must have been some kind of problem with the printer, and there was some kind of error, and they misprinted all these issues. That's what would happen. Because certain styles are not meant to be in comic books. Certain, you know, there is still a comic book style. Now, there's a lot of flexibility within that. There really is. There's a lot of flexibility. And I even think that this guy could get his, I forget his name, that's why I keep saying this guy. I feel like he could put his art style in a comic book and it could work, but you need to find the perfect story to match that style. Otherwise, it's never gonna work. It's just not. It's just never gonna work. So, I mean, that's kind of my take on the whole thing, and I kind of feel bad ripping on it because they knew what they were getting into when they hired the guy. This was his style, and they chose to go with it, so it's really not his fault. So I feel bad, like, making fun of him. I don't want to make fun of him as an artist, because I feel like maybe he's actually not a bad artist. It's just that he's not a comic book artist. So I might still do the thing where I redraw the page myself, being an amateur, and just showing the difference that even an amateur can make to make that same page much more exciting and much more comic book-like. I might still do that. If I'm going to do that, I might even make that my first live stream. Maybe I'll try it over the weekend or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not really sure. So I'd love for you guys to let me know. What do you think? Should I redraw? Am I being too sensitive? Like, am I being too sensitive to this guy's feelings? Or do you understand where I'm coming from? Does it make sense where I'm coming from? Or did I just think about it way too much? Did I just overthink it? Let me know what you think. Please hit me up in the comments and let me know if you think that, you know what, no, this is just bad art and move on. It should just be, you want to rip it. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm thinking too much about it. Maybe I overthought it. That happens sometimes. But I'd love to get your opinions. I'd love to get your ideas. What do you feel about, how much are you willing to stretch comic book art to still be a comic book? Like I said, abstract expressionism, pointillists, like, what do you, cubism, like, what are you thinking? Like, yeah, I guess if you're making a Minecraft comic, you could be a cubist. But let me know. I would love to get some feedback on that and know what you guys think. And if you want me to redraw the page, if you want to see me redraw the page, like, I'm down to do it. I will definitely do it just because I think it would be a fun thing to do. Not even so much, like I said, to show the guy up or make him look bad, because that is not really my point anymore. I don't think at this point, like, that's what I'm looking to do. However, I would love to see what you guys have to say and what you think. Like, would you like me to redraw the page? Because I'll do it if you guys want me to do it. Some people on Twitter were encouraging me to do it last night. Let me know. Hit me up in the comments for sure. Let me know. If you like this video, click like, hit the thumbs up. That definitely helps. Definitely helps. I picked up a couple of subscribers too the last couple of days. Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you still to my BitChute subscribers. You guys rock. I'm up to 41, 42? I think 42 subscribers now. We're creeping up on 50. Maybe I'll do something special when I get to 50. I know that's nothing in the world of YouTube channels, but for me, it would be exciting to get to 50. So just hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to let me know what you think, at jam_creates. Hit that bell for notifications so you won't miss any other videos. I'll have more comic reviews. I'm going to do some more of my old school comics, which is the cool stuff I'm digging out of my boxes. I'm definitely going to do another Jam Comics Classic, which is one of the ones that I did when I was a kid. Maybe I'll pull out. I have one for sure. It's one of my oldest that I've done, that I did when I was a kid. I think it's from 1988 or something like that. And it is very G.I. Joe-like. Maybe I'll pull that one out and do that one in the next couple of days, just so you guys can compare, 12-year-old me's art with the art that's being published today in comics. Who knows? Maybe my whole life could have been different. If I would have been born later, I could already be doing professional comics. Who knows? Anyway, that's it. I'll talk to you guys again soon. You guys are awesome. Please spread the word about the channel if you can. I would really, really appreciate it. Help me out. Hit me up in the comments, engagement on the comments and the thumbs ups and all that stuff, and sharing videos. That stuff all helps to grow the channel, and I would love to grow so that I can start engaging maybe with some other bigger channels. We can start doing some collaborations and stuff. That would be really cool. So that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. And since I still, even from the start of the channel, haven't come up with a really fantastic ending, I will continue to just say, peace out.